I have this crazy friend who bow hunts up in Westchester County, and one day he gave me the fruits of his labor. Fresh venison. And when I think about it, it's probably the most American meat, and nothing's more free-range organic. So what would Berlusconi do? He'd make a ragu of venison. We start with our suffrito. Something like that. So you want equal parts carrot and celery. So I like to go high heat here. All right. And now our onion. Oh, that is a rough onion today. All right. I am tearing like I haven't ever teared. There's like water coming down. Holy moly. What the Florentines and the Cortinese, I guess, do is they add juniper berries to the ragus. It goes really well with gamey meat like wild boar and venison. Juniper berries are the main aromatic in gin. These will soften up after they braise in the tomato and the meat and all that stuff. Remember, always have a bottle of screw top white wine in your fridge. You can use it in all cooking applications. They're great. And this has been in here already a month. I've only used that much, but I've made so many dishes that much better because I've had it around. Just a small amount of wine. Just to take the stuff off the bottom of the pan. Let's see what we've got here. This is some meat that Tommy gave me. Here is some ground venison. We'll use that. Here's some chopped pieces. Let's use that also. And this is the point that I'm trying to drill home here. Some people might look at this and say it's inhumane. Some people might look at this and say, oh, it's disgusting. You know, when we do free-range organic, they're still confined. This was a true wild animal. This is the most primal thing and the most humane thing as far as meats go, honestly. Here's a little hair from the animal. I mean, you know, maybe that skeeves you out, and if it does, then you shouldn't be eating meat because this is the real deal. Here's the ground venison, you see? Beautiful. Absolutely fresh smelling. Super duper lean red meat that we got ourselves. Let's put this in. We're burning a little. Hang on, hang on. We'll cut these guys up into some smaller pieces so that there's some texture in there. The whole deer is very, very lean because he's not living on a human-fed diet and he's free to run around. If you've ever had venison and it turned you off, I think that there are two reasons. One, maybe the meat was tainted. The meat can be tainted by where the animal is pierced, essentially. If it's pierced through the digestive system, that taints the meat. The second reason you may or may not have liked it is that you know where it came from. When I lived in Florence, the ragu is called they call it cinghiale. They actually don't use the word ragu. So they say like tagliatelle al cinghiale, which is tagliatelle with wild boar. It's exactly the same ragu, it's just wild boar instead of venison. And it's something that happens in the late fall. Tomato paste. It's got a deep, rich tomato flavor. It's really hard to achieve that flavor with just a can of tomatoes unless you reduce it like crazy and then the sauce is too heavy. It's beautifully lean. You see how it's all separating, lovely? Lovely. Taste tester? Christopher, you want to come in? What do you think of that?
It's great.
Super dry.
It's not, it's a really clean...
Fully moist, and it's got the nice crunch with the carrots, and just very flavorful. Very good.
Does it taste too gamey?
It doesn't really even taste like game.
Would you know that it was venison?
Maybe not.
That's the point.
It could be beef. It could absolutely be beef.
There's really no reason to use fresh tomatoes for a ragu, unless you had a lot of them and you were trying to get rid of them. But it cooks so long that their freshness would be wasted on something like this. And the other thing we want to do is get the rest of that. So half a can of water. See that? Okay, so we're going to add that to our braising liquid as well. Stir it up. Nice. And we're going to cover it. I'm going to cook it on low for many hours. Here we have some water because we're going to boil some pasta. In the meantime, our sauce has been going for about 3 hours. It hasn't reduced at all because we've had a top on. So now's our chance to reduce it. Radiators. I wanted to feel like a little kid. Here we have some basil. And at the very end of cooking the sauce, I just like to put a few leaves in the sauce. This just sweetens up the sauce a little bit, and as we're reducing,
That's good.
put some basil in there. So now that this is al dente, go like that. I want to keep a little bit of the water. So here we have some Parmigiano on top, look. Cheese with a little bit of pasta water. We've got juniper berries. We deglaze with white wine, tomato paste, tomato sauce. Okay, that's nice, right there. Something like that. I like to show the juniper berry as well. I think it's really pretty. By the way, they're soft now. So there's a little juniper berry. Here we go. My guess is 9 out of 10 people wouldn't even know that this is deer meat. It's really, really delicious. Really yummy. It's 4:10 in the morning. I'm exhausted. I'm gonna go hunting with Tommy because I want to be more connected to the meat that I eat, and he offered to let me sit with him in the woods. So let's see what happens.
I got the bean.
Tommy starts by spraying me with deer scent. And once that's done, it's time to start weaponizing and head out into the dark woods.
Alright, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna carry this dog. You're just gonna walk. Because I've walked this 50 times.
Tommy knows these woods, and he knows he can only hit a target less than 50 yards away. So we wait. No deer sightings, we decide to mobilize and try to find something, making sure to walk single file so that our frontal area is small and less noticeable. There's movement up ahead. A gang of turkeys. We try to surround them, but we're too late. They get away. As we stay on the move, Tommy shows me some marks on the trees. They're fresh, and this is how bucks mark their territory. There must be deer nearby. We set up in a ground blind and start to wait again, staying still and quiet. I'm sure that I see something up on the ridge, but it turns out it's nothing. The squirrels are scurrying about. They can sense the rain coming. And as the sky darkens, it's time for a new approach. Next thing I know, I'm 20 feet up in a tree and the temperature's dropping rapidly. Rain is starting to fall. The situation is getting desperate. Time is running short. We decide to try everything we can to attract deer to us at this point, banging antlers together. and uses a grunt to make the sound of a buck claiming its territory. But in the end, no such luck. There'll be no fresh venison on this day.
I appreciate that venison even more now. Hunting should be called waiting. I spent 6 hours out there. All I saw were turkeys like 100 yards away and a bunch of squirrels. Would I do it again? Of course I'd do it again. I didn't see any deer. They outsmarted me.